So I had to take a little break because I was, while I am recording late at night, I was getting sleepy. But luckily I've woken up again, so I'm going to carry on for a bit. It's a brilliant experiment. Not a great fan of the art on the standard version, but I do have fond memories of this card. Again, it's not a great piece of art. It's quite a nice effect on there, but it's not one of the best cards in the in terms of art. However, I do have fond memories of this card. I played a really dumb, it was a Guildsworn deck, a brilliant experiment deck that I made a few years ago, back when I was totally clueless, and that's often when they're the most fun decks, isn't it? And my plan for the deck was just make lots of copies of the deck to annoy my opponent. It was quite funny actually, I did manage to do it. And the other thing I did as well with this one, so I had Vivek, but I also had Jofra and Lydia, and basically Jofra was put on Vivek so that people couldn't injure him as well, just for a laugh. Sometimes I'd use him with, in tandem with Lydia. And that it was a rubbishy deck, and it used to draw high a lot of the time, but it was very fun to play. So I've got quite fond memories of Brilliant Experiment. Burning Touch. Not a great fan of the art on there. However, when you get to the premium version, the nice flame effect on there kind of cancels out. I mean, obviously, this demony thing's not very attractive, is it? But just the nice flame effect kind of cancels out the fact the art's a bit below par, really. Now, Cameron Hero always makes me laugh because he makes them, when he arrives on the board, he makes them as amazing thwack sounds, and it's just really satisfying to hear. I mean, again, the art's not marvellous on this. But it's still a very fun card, particularly in aggro decks. I mean, the effect on that's quite pleasant, but I think I actually prefer the standard card because it just looks more defined, the art on it. Again, not the greatest art going, but I've noticed he's got the same bird in that picture that was in the other one, the Cameron Hero. They all seem to have the same hairstyle and beard as well, but maybe they just run out of ideas when they're doing these cards, but I think the art on it's okay, it's nothing special. It's a little bit more interesting in the background of that premium where you got the sails and the sky, but it's still not one of the better premiums, is it? This little Kashyyyk gets played a lot in, I think it's the Ellesmere Gauntlet with the Wax Wainsler Gauntlet, but hardly ever seen apart from that. I tend to use her occasionally in other decks, just purely as a shackle. I think the premium version is much better on. I mean, she seems to stand out more against the background, maybe because the background's moving. And this lovely effect on the weapon as well. Channel Storm's very useful. It's I quite like the art of that. It's quite moody and atmospheric, isn't it? Good use of light and dark together. And it is quite an attractive premium as well. However, I think I just prefer the definition in this version. It looks more defined to me. The art on this is okay, it's not anything special. It's slightly better. I mean, you've got the razor light behind it. Makes it slightly better, but it's still not a marvellous piece of art, is it? It's okay, this one. Again, I think maybe it's just some of the art on the intelligence cast. It's not particularly exciting to look at, is it? And that one there's a bit more interest on there, but even so, it's still a fairly mediocre premium. Very useful card when this goes off. However, I tend to joke that this card ends up whiffing more often than not. You have to have an incredibly high number of blue, otherwise it always seems to find the one time where it can whiff and doesn't actually draw you anything. So I'd say the premium is okay for it. It's not anything particularly special, but it's okay. So here's the alt version. I forget what tournament this was on. I do really like the art on this. I think it's much more attractive. I can't remember what tournament it was that I got it in though. It must have been a while ago. I like the movement on the clothes and the colour in the background and the detail on the weapon, so that's a very nice premium. I'm not really a great fan of the art on the Daggerfall Mage. I think it's a little bit drab. However, when you see the premium version, it does seem a bit more alive, so that's definitely an improvement. So Dark Rebirth, I quite like the art on this one. It's a very popular card, particularly in Telvanni. I quite like the look of the eyes on the skull. There's quite a good sense of definition of depth of colour and that to this card as well. Now, funnily enough, I actually prefer the standard version. I just think there's more definition to the art there, and the effect actually detracts from the art rather than enhances it for the premium, so I definitely prefer the standard version. Dark Rift, I actually enjoy this as a card. I know not many people run it, particularly not on ladder, but I used to run, when I was a newbie, I used to run a Telvanni Atronach build, and I remember having this in there, and it was great fun. Quite like the art on that. But this is a case where I think the actual art does is enhanced by the effects on there, particularly the sky effect. But I do like the standard art as well, so I think it's a pretty close run thing, and this just one ekes it out just to be a better card, just purely because it enhances the art rather than detracts from it. Desperate Conjuring. I've never actually played this card, and it's very popular in some Telvanni lists. I suppose I'm not a great fan personally of having a random effect. But I do like the art on this, I like the colour and the mood. I actually prefer the standard one. I find the effects on here a little bit distracting from the art, so definitely prefer the standard version. So now we're on to our lovely kitty here, the Discerning Thief, who's very, very popular, much played. I actually prefer Discerning Thief to Corner Club Gambler and the Agility. They're both used for milling through the deck, but I prefer Discerning Thief because she's also got decent health, and if you have to use her for a trade, you can. Whereas Corner Club Gambler is more likely to die in a trade than Thief. So, and also quite good bait. Thief can't be killed by a crushing blow, so somebody has to, if they have to target removal and you want them to get rid of their removal, Thief's quite a good option for baiting that out. I do like the art on that. Quite a nice atmosphere in the background. And her eyes are glowing actually, I just noticed that. Yeah, I think that just about ekes out. I think I'd say that's the better of the two. But the art's just very good in general on that anyway. Okay, well, out of the Innovate cards, I think the art on this is one of the better ones, and that she's got nice armour on, and a lot of the data cards, the art's so hideous on there. This is actually one where it looks quite stylish, doesn't it? And yeah, I think the background actually makes her stand out more with the effects on there, so that's definitely better. I think you can just see she's even more, because you've got the movement in the background, and it just makes the lightness of the sky look like a deeper contrast in comparison, so I think that's quite a good premium actually, even though I don't like what the card does. Now this card guy doesn't seem to get much play. Occasionally you'll see him in a traditional Exalt deck, but sometimes he gets played just purely to get the Heirloom Greatsword. I think I prefer the standard art version because the effect there is kind of a bit distracting. You can't see. It's nice that his eyes are glowing green though, isn't it? I think overall it makes the card look a little bit more faded with that effect. So I think I prefer the standard. Nothing particularly special about this card. It's alright, I suppose, in terms of art. That is definitely better. Just gives a few more focal points of interest with the light in the background and the artifact being lit up as well. Now I do like Nereids, but I remember my one attempt to play a deck with them was disastrous. So even though I like them, and the art's quite good on that, even though I like them, they're quite hard to make work effectively. And I suppose my one attempt at doing so was a disaster. Now this is an example of where the actual effects have actually made her stand out more as well. So I actually think I prefer that to the standard art. Purely because particularly the effects in the background at the top. They just make her stand out more. Not a huge amount to say about this. The art's on it's okay, but nothing special. And being a pyromaniac at heart, I actually like the flame effect on this, and it's also quite good having the... it's almost like there's snow in the background while they're sort of breathing the fire. So I quite like that. The art's still not great, but I think that's a big improvement. Now this is quite a fun card. Used to see it a fair bit on ladder, but hardly ever nowadays. I suppose item decks have fallen a bit out of fashion, haven't they? I do like the ambience of the card. So he's sat there protecting his items. However, I do think that's another example of where the actual effects on the card just make the art stand out even more. He seems a lot more... because some premium cards, they can make the art look faded, whereas on this one he seems more enhanced by it. I think where they've placed the effect in the background, he actually stands out more. Obviously you've got the outline of the weapons as well, which is good. So that's a very nice premium. Now I do like Ghost Sea Lookout. I have used it in dragon decks before, in Guildstorm Dragons. It's great fun when you can get the ward on it. I quite like the art as well. She's wearing a bit more of a realistic sort of outfit compared to some of the other ladies in TESL who are maybe not that well equipped for battle and stuff. I think I prefer the standard card there. I think this is a case of where the effects, they're not particularly exciting. I just think the standard card looks better. Keeper of Whispers is I'm not a great fan of the art on this. I think mainly, I suppose I'm not really a great fan a lot of the time when you have like these sort of bronzy colours, bronzy or reddish browny colours matched with blue. Having said that, I actually think that looks worse because it's making the art look more faded, so I think the standard card is better. I mean, the effect on the hands is quite interesting, but this bit here, it just kind of makes the card look more faded, which is a shame really. If it had been more fire coming out of just the hands without this bit in the centre, that would have been better. Very useful item. There's not a huge amount to say about the art on this. I mean, the item looks fairly attractive, but there's nothing that exciting going on, is there? And I prefer the standard art. I think again that's quite distracting. It makes the item less defined. So I prefer the standard version. Now we're on to Jack. Great fun, isn't he? So there's the I do like the colour here. You've got the purples and the blues. So I do like the particularly the crab side of things. It's just got a good ambience to it, hasn't it? He looks startled. You've got different colours in the background. It's very fun as a dual card. I like the art on both of those. That is very pretty. Almost like it's got a little aura effect around it. And okay, we've got his hair moving, and there's the sort of magical effect. Really hard choice. I like both pretty much equally in terms of the premium or the standard. They've both got their merits. I think of them all, I think the premium is probably just that little bit better, just because I like the effect on the crab card, just a smidgen more than on the standard. Really lovely. Okay. Not seeing that much on that apart from because item decks are kind of a bit out of fashion at the moment, but the art's okay on it. It's nothing that exciting, is it? And it's a bit more of a basic premium where you just really got the light on the weapon. Not a huge amount going on in the background. They're pretty much equal in terms of... Yeah, I suppose that's marginally better than the standard version. This is a fun card, often played in Unite and also played in... sometimes we play it in Transmogrify just to see what you can get. The art's not the most exciting, even though it's a fun card to play. Now, I do actually like that version because you've got the purples and the greens, which I tend to like those colours anyway. Yeah, I think that's a really lovely premium. It just comes alive. It's actually a case of where it's actually enhancing the art rather than obscuring it. Now, I did get one copy of this in an event. It must have been an early event when I didn't have many tickets or much gold to enter because I only got the one card, and it probably never came around again. I actually think the standard, the original is better than that. So you can't really see their features that well. Now, I do like the art on this purely because I like purple, so I'm a bit biased. And also I'm quite fond of this card because I used to play it a lot in Transmogrify fights with Rocks and friends, so we both used to play that a fair bit. Yeah, I'd say that's better. You've got the power effect, and also his eyes are sort of only one of them seems to be glittering really, but it actually makes him stand out more, that effect. So that's definitely better. Now, I really like Reclaimer as a card. It's just so good for reach, and sometimes depending on the deck that I'm playing it in, I'll generally run 3 of them. If you see one Reclaimer, I'm running 3 generally, unless I'm really pushed for 3 slots. It's just such good reach. Okay, there's not a huge amount going on in the premium, is there? There's a little bit of background action and just a glint on the sword and the armour. I suppose the sun's sort of is either rising or setting. I think it's rising actually in the background. Yeah, okay, I think that's ever so slightly better than the standard, just because I'm going to give it to it on the sunrise effect in the background. Now this is a cute little card. Great fun if you can get it to go off. I do actually like the ambience on the card, both the use of colour and obviously you've got the potential fire effect there. And that's just that's all quite hypnotic watching the fire effect on that, isn't it? I'd better not stare at it for too long, otherwise I'm going to end up hypnotised by it. The art on this is okay, but it's not anything really that thrilling, is it? Again, this is a good example of where the actual effect enhances the art instead of detracting from it, because the smoke and the purple in the background actually make him stand out more. And then you've obviously got the fire around the scroll. Yeah, that really does elevate the card. Very rarely seen. I think I saw a Dark Elf tribal deck on Ladder a couple of days ago, so it does occasionally get played. But that definitely way above in terms of class. I'm a sucker for a snow effect. When it's a really good snow effect like this. Again, I could just sit and stare at that for ages. I really ought to try, if I get time before the game ends, I'll try and do some gifts with like hypnotic cards. And then people, if they want to relax for a bit, they can just pull one up on screen with maybe a bit of music and no chittering from me, and then people can enjoy just looking at the art and relaxing for a bit. He looks quite busy, doesn't he? Don't see him often played. Okay, so there's obviously meant to be a fire or some sort of flame effect off to one side, lighting him up, and then we've got the dust motes in the background. I do prefer the standard one though. I think if you're looking at it, he just looks more defined there. I think the other version he looks like a bit faded. Oh, this is a fun one. Quite an attractive standard card. However, when you see the premium, that is really... There's a good optical illusion going on there, because it almost looks like he's drifting away from me if I gaze at him, because we've got this movement here. It's almost like he's floating away from me. So I like that that visual. They capture that very well. Funny enough, she does sometimes get played on Ladder. Not often, but occasionally you'll see her like in mono blues and stuff like that. Got quite a nice outfit, hasn't she? Although I know most of you are not bothered by that criteria, but... And I do quite like the effect on there. So I think that's probably slightly better. Again, it's a case of the effect is not making her look bleached out, it's more enhancing the art. Yeah, not really a lot going on here. It's not the most exciting card, and the art's pretty... nothing to write home about, is it? I mean, that's okay, but again, it's nothing really that exceptional, is it? So I think like the standard version's better because it's, again, the effect there is kind of detracting from the art a bit and making it look more bleached. Very fun card, but not often played. Probably more often in I know some people have tried to do Ash Tribal, haven't they? I think I prefer the standard art. It just looks a bit more. It's just not very exciting, that. Well, that obviously, I think that was it was a starter pack thing. So I quite like the art in that. Although I think his outfit looks a little bit superhero-ish, doesn't it? But the sky effect in the background is quite lovely. You got the Baron. Looks quite serious, doesn't he? So we've got the candle effect and we've got the sort of fire effect in the background. I think I marginally prefer this version. And when I look at this card, I always think of Aros MPO because he went through a phase where he was playing Baron a lot on ladder, particularly in mono intelligence, mono blue. So I tend to associate that card with him. This is a very fun card, and I think, again, I tend to associate it with Aros because he's used it to play. Particularly, he's quite good at he'll summon a Viper, a Viper skeleton, equivalent Viper skeleton. And that's definitely an enhancement to the card. I think that's, again, it's quite hypnotic. Yeah, it's a very fun card if you can get it to pair off with something like a Territorial Viper. Very good. Relatively cheap removal. Very popular card, but not the most exciting art going, is it? I mean, the premium's okay. I think the main benefit from it is when you get the premium Atronach along with it, because obviously you then get very beautiful Atronach. I like the art on the Corsair ship. I like the sense of movement on there. It's nice to see you've got the sky, the movement of the sky interacting with the sails. It's actually a really fun card if you pair it with Nest of Vipers and then all the Vipers get daggers. It's quite funny. Now this is one of my darlings. Used in my Covenant deck. While the art's not the most exciting thing, it's a very useful effect that's won me games countless times. Yeah, they've not really done a huge amount with that, have they? I think I prefer the standard art just because it's a bit distracting, the effects on there, but very good card. This is okay, but it's nothing that special, is it? Oh, this is the art does stand out a bit more in this version, and it's a nice sort of fire effect on there. That's definitely an improvement. Very fun card because you can use it with things to unshackle them, so you've got a threat there, particularly if there's quite a few options of creatures you can use this with. But I prefer the the standard of the premium. I think that's just makes it look a bit faded now. Tormentor's very good fun. The art's not particularly great, but it's a fun effect. And that is actually an improvement because you've got the sort of extra colours and a sense of movement with it. Schemer's a very good card. I like the Modisc. It's like he's thinking away, trying to be undetected. So, quite a subtle premium, isn't it? I'd say it's about equal with the original. It's not super exciting, but equally it's yeah, it's probably about equal with the standard one in terms of quality. But this is much better, isn't it? He's got a nice outfit on. You've got a lot more interest in his outfit moving, and also the background as well. So I just think that's way better. So Firestorm, it's okay. There's nothing special to the art on this one. Premium makes it a bit more interesting because you've got the fire and the rain effect at the same time. It's quite, I mean, it's not a very exciting card generally, but I used to play it in transmogrify matches. It was quite fun playing it in there just to remove the opponent's creatures before they could transmog. I do quite like this card. I suppose I've got a soft spot for Khajiits. While the art on it's not the best, it's a very useful card. I prefer drawing it when you can have it as guard. And he does actually look more defined with the effect in the background. I think the purple leaves falling and the it's like the sand in the background. It just makes him stand out more. So I think that's a definite improvement. This is a fun card. I like the fact that the skeleton hands are coming out of the ground, trying to grab the person and literally shackle them. I actually prefer the standard because you can see their hands grasping for the person a lot better. Medal is a very fun card. I mean, okay, I'm not a great fan of the red and blue colour combo. If I could talk, I mean, it's late again tonight when I'm trying to record. He's very good against anything obnoxious the opponent's running, but particularly against Oblivion Gates, you can kind of swap its health around and kill it by making the provided Mankars not out. I'd say the premium's a little bit better. There's a helicopter in the background, hopefully you can't hear it. Probably the search and rescue helicopter because I live fairly near the sea. Now I do like the Ice Wraith art. And this creature very rarely survives when you put it on the board because it's going to be a source of free draw for people. So it tends, and also it's quite easy because you can execute it as well. Nice art though, I think it does stand out quite well. And that's quite a pretty effect on there. It's like blue and purple. So I do like that. I like both versions. I think that just is slightly better. Very useful card. Not a great fan of the art on it though, got to admit. It's quite fun in skeleton decks, but not the most exciting art going, is it? And you can barely see what it is there with that one, so I definitely prefer the standard over the premium. Very fun card. I think it'd be nice if his face was a bit better defined though. Actually, having that light effect behind him does make his face stand out more, so I think the premium's a big improvement. A real staple in Index, this one. Quite like the art on that. I think mainly because it's mainly blue-based colours, different shades of blue. At first glance, you think that would look prettier and be more attractive, but actually, I do think the art looks better, much more defined in the standard version. However, this is a really nice alternative art version of that. The light's almost ripping off the back of the creature, so it makes the art of the creature stand out better. This guy never gets played. Not the most exciting card, not the most exciting artwork either. I don't really like that effect on there. I think I prefer the standard version. Again, it kind of obscures the weapon and part of his outfit, making it look faded. Now, a lot of people call this dragon Disappointment Dragon. It seems a little bit mean. It can't help the fact that it's not as exciting as some of the other dragons, but it's still got decent stat line. In terms of the art, obviously, it's not the most good-looking dragon. I'd say the award for most good-looking dragon goes to Odahviing easily. But I do like the premium version a lot. In fact, that's quite hypnotic, and I did actually craft premium Mystic Dragon even when back before the game was announced to be closing. So just because I've had it there, even though I didn't play it much. I just liked the visual on it, so I just crafted it just because it was beautiful to look at. Not the most practical reason to invest in a premium, but I enjoy looking at it. Right, Master. This fits under the banner of not very, well, in fact, downright ugly art on some of the invade cards. It's a nuisance as well, isn't he? Now, you would have thought they'd do a bit more with this, but you've got a bit of light in the background. Maybe a couple of candles, but it's just not very good. I think the standard is actually better. Now, I do like Piercing Twilight. Obviously, there's a lot of graveyard action on ladder, and she's really useful for... I'd consider her an auto, including anything blue. Also, there is a very funny match on one of Schward's live streams in late 2024 when he was playing some matches against Vincenzo. And they were playing Babes of Tamriel, and there's Schward with all these... all the pretty looking ladies in TESL, and then you got Vincenzo playing Shrieking Harpy and Piercing Twilight as his girls. And so ever since then I've nicknamed it as a reaction from Schward, who was so indignant. It was very comical. There he was playing these pretty ladies, and then Vincenzo was playing these. So I now call Piercing Twilight Vincenzo's girl. So that's a funny memory attached to that card. I like both versions of the art on this. I mean, I do quite like the way the wing is moving and stuff, and so I like both. It's pretty neck and neck really in terms of which one I think is best. Pretty much even Stevens. Bit of an annoying card when it's used in Thief decks, but I do quite like the art on this. It's quite ambient. It's either like dusk or early morning, not quite sure which. And she's out thieving, so the art's quite ambient. That looks more like it's dusk actually, because you've got the lights on in the background, and almost like searchlights as well, looking for her. And in fact, she does stand out more in the premium version. She stands out much more from the background. So I think that's probably a bit better than the standard. Royal Sage, I'm just going to take a moment to moan about the fact that I never ever, every time I've played her, I don't get value out of her because I either can't keep her board, or even though I've got a deck that should be able to get ahead on health, I draw badly and then I end up behind. So it's like I never ever get any value out of her, but I see other people get value out of her regularly. A bit annoying, really. I'm not that bothered by the premium. I think the standard art's better because, again, the effect makes it look a bit more faded here. Now, it's a very pretty effect on there. Again, this was obviously from an event, either a gauntlet or a melee, quite early on when I was poor for not having much gold or event tickets. So I've only got the one copy. It is quite a nice piece of art. I think the other version is a nicer picture overall, but I do like the purple effects on the alt art version. This is what I'd call a Git card. In terms of the invasion card art, that's actually one of the better ones. I mean, a lot of them is very ugly looking art, but at least that one, he's got sense of dignity about him. Right, yeah, it's okay, the premium, but I don't think it's anything special. Sparksmith, used to see her a lot in my early days in Legends because item decks were more popular back then, and people also like the fact she could hit face while being equipped, but these days you hardly ever see her. Now that is actually really nice, the premium version, because the actual variation of the light makes her stand out more when the actual... So 1 minute she's in shadow, 1 minute she's in the light, so that's actually really nice. Obviously you've got the forging of the weapons going on as well. That's definitely... I mean, I like the standard art as well, but that's a really atmospheric improvement. Very fun card, quite difficult to pull off. The art's a bit boring on it though. It's okay again, it's not... I wouldn't say it's anything particularly special. If I had to choose between the two, I'd say the standard one, because the blue's more a deeper shade on there, it's a bit more defined. Pretty boring art, but then it is what it is, isn't it? It's just an item, really. They've done what they can to make this look a little bit better, but it's still not very exciting, is it? This guy, I have seen him played sometimes in Tribunal, often just to get the magic again rather than for the health. I've even seen people use resummon effects on him when they've been quite close to being killed, so they'll resummon him just to get the extra health, so that can happen as well. That is quite a pretty effect on the premium, so I'd say that's better. Quite hypnotic. I better not stare at it for too long, otherwise I'll get into a trance, won't I? Not the most exciting looking card, is it? Very rarely played. I'm just not a fan of the art on it. And even though it's got a few effects put on it, it's not really that much of an improvement. In fact, I think that actually makes it look more faded, so I'd say it's worse than the standard version.